Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Matthew back with yet another episode of the My Favorite Hasbro tournament. This is the final episode of round 3. So this is going to be the last 4 matchups. As you know, there's actually 9 figures remaining. So the very last matchup will contain a 3-man square off, I guess, would be the appropriate way to describe it. A one-on-one matchup. So at the conclusion of this video, once this video gets posted, I'm going to go back into the LJN tournament or LJN review. So I'll probably go back and forth with the LJN reviews back to the Hasbro tournament until both are completed, and then from there I'll kick off the AWA Remco review and the Galoob review. And once enough time has passed, probably within a month or so, I will start doing the review of the Hasbro series by series, just so that this tournament and the review isn't like so close together. All right, so per usual, we will dive right in. We will pick the first couple names at random here. All right, first one is going to be Jim Duggan. All right, Jim Duggan squares off against Series 3 Ultimate Warrior. Put those aside there. Alright. Here's one. Here's two. Alright. Next matchup is going to feature Series 6 Berserker. And he is going to square off against the custom Jake Roberts, which I've been classifying as the Fire Jake. Two names here. Alright, so this is going to be, for whatever reason, for the Custom Crush, I spelled it with a K. I don't know why I did that. Or maybe that is a, that could be a C, and that could just be a letter, a line extended from the previous name, because I wrote the names down, I cut them out. You know what, that is a C. Because I could see the little swivel. But it looks like a K, though. Anyways, Custom Series 11 Crush is going to square off against the Undertaker from Series 8. I gotta admit, these last matchups really suck. They're really difficult. These last 3 are pretty obvious. You're going to feature Series 1 Andre is left over. The Honky Tonk Man Custom from Robert Jackson is left over. And the Series 8 Bret Hart is left over. So those 3 will square off. So the first matchup I mentioned was 2 of a couple of my all-time favorite figures. Not just from Hasbro, but basically from any line. And it features the Series 3 Ultimate Warrior, which might very well possibly be the greatest Ultimate Warrior figure of all time. Might definitely be the greatest Hasbro figure of all time. And if you don't have him as your number 1, he's got to be number 2, number 3, somewhere in the top 5. This is about a perfect of a figure as you're ever going to find. As I talked about Jim Duggan many times, I've said it repeatedly, I will continue to say it. Jim Duggan, to me, if you're looking for a go-to one-on-one matchup, someone you want to use frequently throughout a Royal Rumble, tag team matchup, what have you, Jim Duggan has one of the best play poses, one of the best figures, because he's like a little bit of a stockier figure, so he's definitely one of the best for play if you're a kid. Series 2 didn't do him right because his figure is just so simple, so plain. That was his colors. You really can't complain about the design. That was his look. But in Series 9, it's such a fresh and perfect take on the American scheme that he had working for him. And the overall design of this Series 9 Hacksaw Jim Duggan throw in the American flag accessory, which comes with the figure, he really gives the Series 3 Ultimate Warrior a run for his money. I've said it before, Ultimate Warrior Series 3 possibly has the greatest fighting pose of any of the Hasbro figures, but it comes down to this. You've got more of a little stockier figure, which is probably your best figure for play, and then you got the possibly the best play pose for a figure. I don't care if you're an adult, I don't care if you're a child. If you have all three Ultimate Warrior figures, you're probably going to go with the Series 2 Ultimate Warrior figure for play for your kid. Why? It's better than your Series 1 with the fused legs, and Series 3 to me is such a fantastic, perfect figure. Why would you ever want to risk ruining this perfect piece, right? So you're probably always going to use the Series 2 anyways. This is really up there among some of my hardest decisions, not just from the Hasbro tournament, but when you factor in, my LJN tournaments along with the Hasbro tournament, yeah, this has got to be up among my elite as far as some of my hardest decisions that I've had to make among my figures. Because really, if this was just a 2 against a 3, yeah, I would say Warrior, no doubt. But because it's a 9 against a 3, that makes it a lot more difficult. And with that design of Duggan on the back, I really love this figure. You really don't appreciate the Series 9 until you really have the opportunity to really glance it over and really have the opportunity to really discuss him at a more... I hate that AOL message. I should really exit out of AOL every time I do my videos, because every time without fail I get a message while I'm making these videos. I lost my train of thought. So I was harping on Jim Duggan. This sucks. This is not an easy decision. I have to go with Warrior, right? It's the most logical, sensible answer. This for me was a top 10 figure where the Jim Duggan didn't crack my top 10. At the end of the day, I could say this is my number 1 favorite figure and this was my number 30 favorite figure. Does that mean that this would necessarily win my tournament and this one wouldn't? No, this one could have easily won this tournament. How many times have I looked at a figure and said, you know what? When I brought them up, I thought A was going to beat B, and then at the very last moment, B was defeated A. So I really can't say just because so-and-so was on my list and B and so-and-so over here wasn't, that's how it's going to play out. I love the Jim Duggan figure. One of the most absolute perfect figures from the Hasbro line. I just cannot push him past the Ultimate Warrior. And just kind of looking at the remaining figures, I think I would have had an equally difficult decision with at least half of these figures here. I think Jim Duggan could have potentially defeated maybe 3 or 4 of these figures, possibly. And by saying 3 or 4, with no guarantee on the rest, he may have been pushed out in the next round anyways. But Ultimate Warrior is a legitimate contender, not only for round 5 and onward, but to win the whole tournament. Ultimate Warrior pushes on to round 4. The next matchup we said was going to feature this one was Berserker and the Fire Jake Roberts, again from Derek Pumpkin Man 1986 on eBay. I could have never imagined that a Jake Roberts figure would have made it into round 3. Whether you're talking original figure or custom, I just didn't think that the figure itself had the ability to make it this far. And round 3, it's a good run. Obviously, for me, round 4 and later is a significant run. Round 1 elimination is, basically nothing. Round 2 is okay, so and so. Round 3 is adequate. Round 4 and later is to me, in my opinion, your superior figures. Your real cream of the crop action figures. The original Jake Roberts, I had on my list of top 10 least favorite figures. Nothing wrong with the action figure. I had the original as a kid. One of my most played with figures. To me, he had one of the best boots of any of the Hasbros. The way his legs are posed, a very playable figure. In fact, one of the most enjoyable playable figures. I think Jake Roberts, and I said it before, like many of the figures, he was on my list because I had to choose someone. And there are just so many other great figures that, a great figure like Jake Roberts had to be pushed on that list. But the Jake Roberts customs that I have are just so unique, it's so spectacular, that you take a decent, good, or even a good figure, and you give them these customizations, the one from Derek, or any of the figures I had from Robert Jackson. Those figures they all have the potential to go very far in the competition. I mean, we're talking even, with a random drawing like I've been doing, they could have been semifinalists. They were that good. The paint job of this action figure is absolutely remarkable. You see a lot of Mattel Elite figures with this paint scheme. I found a custom LJN with this scheme, which I really wanted. I talked about it, I think, the first time I brought this figure up. This is a beautiful design. Is he a legitimate contender to win the tournament? Maybe not to win, but is he a legitimate contender to make it not just to the next round, but the following round or two? That I would have to say yes. And he is actually going against one of my favorite figures. Not just talking about the Jim Duggan body, but Berserker with the head mold and with one of the greatest accessories of the entire Hasbro line. And, of course, I mentioned the custom sword from David Garland on Etsy. This is such a phenomenal figure that it's really hard to see relatively any figure topping this figure. There's maybe 5 figures of all Hasbro that, off the top of my head, where I think have a legitimate shot of beating Berserker. Is any capacity of Jake Roberts a better version of the Berserker figure? If you remove the accessory and just deal with just the body of the Berserker against the custom with the pants scheme, no accessories on either figure, maybe Jake Roberts would have a slight edge. I would still say that overall fighting position still would have to go to Berserker based on that Duggan fighting pose, or Duggan body. But even with possibly the second greatest accessory with the snake, I still have to go with Berserker. I just think it's still a superior figure. Jake Roberts had the potential to go another round, not just another round, but another 2 rounds. Berserker, in my opinion, is a semifinalist or a potential semifinalist candidate. Will he make it to the Final Four? With so many great figures, I can't say right now, but I can say he has the potential as much as any other figure that we've looked at. So, Berserker is going to push forward to round 4. And Jake Roberts, after a solid 3 rounds, is going home for the competition. So that's going to go back on the Derek wall with the rest of his customs. The next matchup we are going to features two of my top 10 favorite figures in the Undertaker and Crush. So in the top 10 list, I had not the Series 4, but I had Series 8 Undertaker with a special shout out with the Series 4. And again, I don't know where I had him. Let's say number 7. You know, I probably had held up both Undertaker Series 4 and Series 8 at the time. Crush, I think I had rated much higher. This one was probably as much as number 3 or possibly number 5 on my list. The last two videos, I would say, one of the things I've talked about, Series 7 Crush, no, the previous round, Atom Bomb, which has this pose, was defeated by Papa Shango. Why? Because of this pose right here, which I'm not crazy about. In the last video, Papa Shango defeated the Series 7 Crush for the same exact reason, because of this whole body mold. And now, we're taking one of my all-time favorite figures, one of the most perfect action figures you'll ever find, and putting him against one of the greatest figures, also one of the greatest color scheme figures of the entire Hasbro, but you're also dealing with the same scheme. So question is, which one would I appreciate more? Or which one do I not appreciate more? The one with the extended arm, which it's not exactly the most ludicrous pose for me, but one I'm not crazy about because of the ability for it to break relatively easy, or the one with where the arms aren't basically really parallel with one another. You have one that's a lot more inward, while the left arm is a lot more extended. Based on color and display, I mean, come on, this is about a killer of a figure. This would basically be your winner, hands down. I don't think by color scheme any other figure would even come close to matching the Evil Crush version. Now, because this one has a little bit better of a design than the original, maybe one or two figures potentially had the ability to top the original Purple Crush from Series 11. The custom, again, has a little bit more detail, so just a little bit better detailing to the figure. At the end of the day, can I really say goodbye to the last Undertaker that I had? The one figure that I thought, and again, maybe Series 4 was in my mind, not Series 8, but still, I covet the Series 8 more. Not only for value's sake, but because I like the dark hair more than the red hair. Do I say goodbye to a figure that I legitimately thought would win the entire tournament in just the third round? But the same thing, do I say goodbye to one of the top 5 greatest figures in the third round, just to keep a figure that may not make it past round 4? This is a tough one. I'm going to say yes. For the second time in as many videos, I am going to eliminate yet another Crush. The last Crush from this competition. In the first few rounds of this competition, I've gotten rid of 3 Crushes. I've gotten rid of an Atom Bomb. I mean, the list is just, I've gotten rid of a couple different Yokozunas. I've gotten rid of a Brutus Beefcake. I mean, a mail-away Hulk Hogan. So there's a lot of heartbreaking losses in this tournament already. A lot of figures at legitimate chances of winning the whole thing. And Hasbro, man, they're just, the figures are just so deep. And we're not even talking about just customs. We're just originals. Just original figures alone would have been an impossible choice, but when you throw in customs as well, it sucks. But again, I still feel like, as much as I love the Evil Crush figure, I still think that Undertaker is your best, gives you your best option for winning this tournament. I did not have Crush as a kid, any version of Crush. I did have the Series 4 Undertaker as a child. I really believe that nostalgia is going to play a role in the end. Does he actually win the tournament based on that nostalgia? I think it's a very strong case. So, Undertaker from Series 8 is going to push forward to round 4. And your very last matchup is going to be another 3-man matchup because we've run out of figures. I could do like what I talked about in the last video, which was like bring back Series 7 Crush or something. Or a Macho Man or Series 3 Boss Man or something. And have like Bret Hart against, let's say, Andre, and maybe like a random choosing of someone who was eliminated in the past round going against Honky or something like that, right? That way you'll have an even 2-on-2 matchup. But then, Figure has already been eliminated once. Who's to say they won't be eliminated again? And for sake of argument, let's say you bring back Series 7 Crush, and he comes back and he wins the tournament, right? It's like, wow, well, how does someone who already been eliminated win the tournament? Well, what sense does that make? So, no. I'll just keep... I'm not saying he would. I'm just saying that if that's a possibility, that could happen. Maybe. I don't know where I'm going with these at the time, at the current moment. So, but this is your last matchup of round 3. It's going to feature the custom Series 2 Honky Tonk Man going up against a Series 8 Bret Hart and the Series 1 Andre the Giant. And we will start with Andre. In the round 2 matchup against Nails, I really wanted to choose Nails, but I felt like Andre really deserved the opportunity to have one more showing. Do I think Andre is going to win the tournament? No. He is a legend. He is someone I really hoped to see go very far in this tournament. Based on the random drawing, he had the potential to be a fourth or fifth round contestant. But I mean, just looking at this, he alone I don't think would even defeat the Honky Tonk Man. So I know based on this matchup that this is the end for Andre the Giant. He wouldn't be pushed forward to the next round. But again, he is an absolute legend. A fantastic figure. From Series 1, we had so many figures, and yet we never had Andre the Giant. I would have absolutely died to have had this figure as a kid. Just imagine the WrestleMania 3 1987 matchups we would have had with Andre and Hulk Hogan. That would have been absolute killer. Not even just, one-on-one matchup, good guy, bad guy, but tag teams as well. I would have put them up to, as tag team partners. Why not? They were a solid force together. Really good figure. Excessively large hands, which, again, I get he's a giant. Yeah, he's going to have large hands and stuff. But, I'm weird. I'm kind of weird because, why would you give him excessively large hands, but, not do anything? Look at the feet. They really didn't do anything much with the feet because the feet are pretty much... let's see. Yeah, so Honky Tonk Man wasn't a good example, but like Bret Hart, the feet look about the same size. But the hands are crazy big, but they have minuscule feet in comparison. Good figure, but yeah. Andre is out after 3 rounds. I think as far as this matchup right here, that one was probably the easiest of the selection. I would have to say that this right here was the real matchup. The Honky Tonk Man custom from Robert Jackson. Surprisingly, I chose this one over the Derek Honky Tonk Man. where his version was basically the dark blue version of the original Series 2, but he also had the drawn on or painted on Honky Tonk Man silhouette, and that had been my favorite one for so long. But then when I brought this up and started talking about this, I absolutely love the light blue color scheme of this figure, and I just could not pass on this one. And so seeing him in round 3 is pretty special. As you know, Honky Tonk Man, he is, I think, number 9 on my list of all-time favorite action figures. I could never really care less. I could care less about the fact that they're clothed or whatnot. To me, sometimes the clothing makes a world of difference, because that's just more detail that goes into the figure. Honky Tonk Man, obviously, with his guitar, is what makes that figure stand out to me, and what puts him on my list of all-time favorite figures. I guess Honky Tonk Man by himself probably wouldn't have done much, but the accessory, it really blends the figure in together and really puts it, really spotlights the figure. The issue with this matchup is you are also going against a top 2, maybe top 3 all-time best Hasbro figure in the Series 8 Series 8 Bret Hart. Bret Hart, like I've always said, he is one of your only legitimate wrestlers. I mean, we're talking about old school, floor to the, mat to the floor type of wrestlers, high school and college type wrestling. Just a phenomenal athlete, loyal as heck, and the way that he was done in at the end of his WWF tenure, really sucked. And to be screwed over basically the way he was in Canada, his home country and everything, just, a real slap in the face for someone who dedicated, 14 years or however long it was of his life to a company. It just shows you that, people, they can be loyal to a business all they want, but how often is the business going to be loyal to you? No matter how much money you brought into that business or anything like that, how much fans and how many tickets you've sold and been responsible for. Like I said, the Bret Hart action figures, they use the same one in both the Series 4 and Series 8. Same thing, just repainted the figure. They also have a series, not a series, they have a mail-away Bret Hart. I don't own the Series 8, or Series 8. I don't own the mail-away. I don't own a custom of the mail-away. I don't even remember what the mail-away looks like. I would assume it would basically be the exact same as the Series 4, or very similar to it. I'd have to actually look that up. I mean, I could probably try my best to get a custom of the Undertaker and Bret Hart mail-away figures. Again, I don't know what they look like. I forgot. I have seen them in my life at some point, but Hogan mail-away was perfect. The custom. I'm not shelling out over $1,000 for a loose Hasbro figure. It just ain't happening. There's certain things that you're willing to pay up for, and that just isn't one of them. This is a tough call, but at the end of the day, as much as you want to hold on to this and really stretch out the video as much as possible because you don't want to say goodbye to the Honky Tonk Man custom, you basically know from the get-go that you're going to choose Bret Hart. Like I said, there's maybe 3 figures, if that, that have a legitimate shot of beating this figure. And the Series 4 Bret Hart is probably the one of the 3 figures, or maybe one of 4 figures if you add him, that has a shot of beating him himself. So, with the playability of this figure, not this one, but the Series 4 that I had as a kid, if the Undertaker didn't win a competition, I always thought the Bret Hart figure would. It's just a fantastic overall display piece. one of your most valuable and expensive Hasbros. The Series 8, again, when you think of terms of value, you're looking at anywhere between $100 to $200 figure loose. On card, $300 to $500. I really want this figure on card, but again, at $350 plus dollars, whenever you try to buy it on auction, there's just I can't do it. For someone who grew up with Hasbros and who still cherishes Hasbros more than anything, like, I still love Hasbros more than LJNs. I still say Hasbro 1A, LJN 1B, but like, for whatever reason, when it comes to carded figures, I am willing to pay up more for LJN. Like, I get more satisfaction from owning the LJN cards than I do the Hasbro cards. So, maybe because they're bigger, heavier figures, and I will repeat, as I normally do, weight to me means value. It's why I covet the Yokozuna Hasbro figure so much. It's why I covet the King Kong Bundy LJN figure. And it's probably why I value the LJNs more than the Hasbros in terms of carded figures. So, a Bret Hart LJN, I might spend $800 on that figure if it became available. Would I spend $300 on a Hasbro Bret Hart? Probably not. Even though it's $500 cheaper. Go figure. Well, that is it for round 3 of the Hasbro tournament. So, these videos, let's see, what is today? Today is Thursday, March 23rd. So, I'm going to hopefully have the last video and of the Series 3 review. So today I did post the second video of Series 3. And I have Series 3, Episode 3 or Part 3 in queue. And I now have all 3 videos of the Round 3 Hasbro tournament in queue. So I'm probably going to wait another 5 days or so before I come back down here and make another video. Maybe another week, I don't know, we'll see. And if I do make another video, it'll probably be the room tour right after the closets are built and everything, and I have the room set up. It might be a quick video, just kind of walk through, show everything that I've built up. And, knowing me, I'll do a room tour that day, and then the next day I'll probably tear everything down and realign everything and resituate the room, because I'm never satisfied with how things are displayed. Alright, everybody, as always, thank you so much for watching. I am going to close the video here. Look forward to hearing from you in the comments, and I will talk to you in the next video. Goodbye for now.